So I just did a video on Romans 9:22 and 23, where I was saying that the vessels of wrath that were prepared for destruction are actually the devil and his angels, not people, as it is commonly interpreted. And the vessels of mercy in verse 23 are people. So where I get the vessels of wrath prepared for destruction are actually the devil and his angels is in Isaiah 45:7, God says that he creates evil. And then, which is like, I don't know, almost sounds like heresy, but it's not. And then in Matthew 25:41, it talks about how everlasting fire, aka hell, is prepared for the devil and his angels. So I think it's reasonable to interpret this vessels of wrath in Romans 9:22 as Satan and his angels. And my point with all this is that just because God created evil doesn't mean that he is evil. I could see some people coming to that conclusion. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that so in Romans 9:22 and 23, it talks about the reason why he created vessels of wrath prepared for destruction is so that he can demonstrate his wrath and make his power known. So, and then also in verse 23, it talks about, and he did so to make known the riches of his glory upon vessels of mercy, which is us. So demonstrate his wrath, make his power known, and make known the riches of his glory. So what I think of when I am reading this, for example, is the parting of the Red Sea, where, God miraculously saves his people from these people that had been oppressing them and committing lots of sins against them for hundreds of years. And I will say that just because God created evil, that he created the devil and these angels that are fallen, doesn't mean that we have to choose evil. Like, we have a choice. We don't have to follow, like, the evil that's on earth is actually because of us. It's because of us choosing evil, and two, it's because of we are not enforcing God's way of doing things and actually punishing evil. We're tolerating it. So for those two reasons, just because the evil beings exist does not mean that we need to choose it, and it's not God's fault that we are choosing evil. Just because the tree of knowledge of good and evil existed in the garden does not mean that it was God's fault that Adam and Eve chose to eat from that tree. And it doesn't mean that it was his fault that Satan tempted them and they fell to that temptation. They could have very well said no to Satan and yes to God. And that's what he wants us to do. That's what God wants us to do, is to say no to evil and say yes to him, yes to his goodness, his ways. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that just because he created evil does not mean that he's evil, and does not mean that the evil that is happening right now on earth is his fault or his responsibility. It's actually ours for choosing it in the first place. I mean, we do this even on micro levels. Like, there's tons of evil and corruption going on at government and world levels, but even in our little world, we still sometimes choose evil. We do. And so even there, God wants to display his power and the riches of his glory. Even in our little worlds, when we are tempted by evil, we can call out to him and ask him for help, and ask him to change our hearts and to give us the grace to choose his ways. And he does. Like, he is very powerful and shows us the riches of his glory in helping us to be set free from any issue that we have, really. We just need to choose it. We need to choose it. So anyway, yes, just wanted to throw that out there. Just because he created evil doesn't mean he is evil or responsible for evil. We are.